How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Forever Arsenal podcast. The season is over. We have finished second, runners up to Manchester City, as we've known for a few weeks. But we've ended the season on a high, as we normally do, with a 5-0 win against Wolves at the Emirates. And we are back, all four of us. Big up Jordan, Lee, and James. Make sure you show some love in the comment section. Comments of the day will be towards the end of the show. What we're going to do on this one here today is go through each individual player and offer our season ratings for each individual. But before we do, I think it's time to crown the champion of the season, no?
I agree.
Oh.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh,
definitely agree. Go on, Lee. You want to go first?
well, yeah, I do because I'm going to say it now. Congratulations, Jordan. For this,
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Jordan.
very much, Lee.
Well played.
Because,
Well done, Jordan.
you
Round of
know,
applause for Jordan.
Yeah. And the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it's got to
It was
go
a hard
to
slog.
some sort of what do they call it? Arbitration, a different court, because this fella up here in the corner makes his own judgments, his own corruption. Again, I'm just going to say I've been docked 2 points. I have, and rightly so, because I've been 10 minutes late. I've been 10 minutes late.
Yep.
Right. I've not halted production on those occasions. This is
No, you haven't.
the third time that this has happened. That we all turn up, and old Turkish up there don't bother.
Yeah. Can I just say, Lee, as well? Turkish. I'm a big fan. I like Turkish. I'm a big fan of Turkish. I like him. I want to just start off by saying that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I think we all love Turkish, right? This is not personal.
No,
But it's an absolute liberty.
It's a liberty.
It's a liberty.
Great word.
Yeah, it's an absolute liberty. And at some point, a line's got to be drawn and standards have to be raised. Yeah. And I just think now it's the fifth, sixth time? I mean, how many times?
I'm counting 6. At least 3 times.
Yeah, I know.
And then he turns around and says, "Do you know what he said yesterday to me, guys? I don't like to be a grass or whatever."
No, of course you don't. No.
I don't like it. And it's not sat with me very well. And he said, "Oh well, it's only 3 points. I still win it by a point."
It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace.
Lee, he's laughing at us.
He is laughing at us. And if he continues to get away with it, which he has done in the past by giving his own sentences, he'll continue to do it, lads. And
so what are we saying? Stripping of titles?
I'm stripping the title 4 points.
Whoa. Okay, I wasn't going that far. That was
4 point deduction.
Lee's turned into my biggest hater all of a sudden. I don't understand what's going on.
I'm just
Doesn't feel good,
I
does it,
think it needs to be put out there. And Sharoy, he's on the payroll, the Turkish payroll. I'm telling you that, I see him having holidays to Turkey every summer. There's something not right there.
Flying first class on Turkish Airways. First class.
Yeah, I see that. Not only that, Jordan, he was on first class, and he was also, in the pilot seat, and come on, So he's out of it, So I feel
he's done.
He's got to go to the comment section, and I feel he deserves to be stripped of it because, as you said, this is the 6th. I think more times than that, but it's definitely the 3rd time we've had to rearrange a new show. That means me, you, and James getting up early like we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Him for not turn up.
Yeah.
And then we have to do it again the next day.
Yeah.
He seems to get away with it by going, "Oh, my bad," and everybody seems to forgive him. Well, I'm not having it no more.
And let's think of production as well. There's a stream of shows that have to come out on a schedule for AFTV, and when we're delayed for our show, it impacts on James's show, Tactical Insight. Go and check it out. It impacts on Bayer's show. It impacts on Invincibles. It impacts on all the other shows on the production line. So it's not just us it's affecting negatively. It affects the whole team, the whole schedule.
Lucky, I have a say in the production line as well. Then, so
exactly. Do you know what I mean? I'm not being horrible. Look, I love Cass. Very, he sort of runs it from the background and all that. I don't want to say too much just in case he's in there, you know what I mean? But he just turns around and says, "Oh, you haven't got this right. You haven't done that. You haven't done that." Don't turn up one time. I see yesterday. Have we done the show? Turkish didn't turn up. Oh, okay,
nothing.
Turkish. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Not even a rollicking. But I'll tell you what, if we go 2 minutes over or we don't mention Trossard over,
we get it in the neck.
He's in there. He's in there giving it like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you
that's
know.
true. I'm with you, Lee. I'm with you.
Turkish don't turn up. Oh, don't worry about it. See you tomorrow, guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What's going on here? Like, you know,
It's a liberty. It's an absolute liberty.
It's a liberty. I think that's the word, a liberty. I'm actually not going to call you Turkish no more. I'm going to call you Liberty until it's sorted out. And do you know what makes it even worse? We ain't even in here, and James can get to all the technology and all that, can't he? Like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
So he puts it all up there. There's 2 stars on it. 2 stars. You know what I mean? He doesn't bother turning up. He's got 2 stars, 2 titles. Well, I'm saying he's got to be stripped.
You didn't like that, did you?
That was
funny.
liberty. That was the biggest liberty.
Yeah.
Listen, okay. I understand the people's concerns, but there's a certain
Concerns.
I feel like the victim here. I'm actually the victim here. I've jumped on a podcast 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm being attacked from all angles. My attorney's not with me. I don't really know what to say. I might just go no comment until he gets here. But I'm going to try and explain myself best as possible. There's a certain set of rules that was implemented due to concerns that my fellow colleagues on Fourever Arsenal have been having over the season. So those rules came in. And maybe this is the best time to tell people that look out for Shiroi next season on my channel. We've got a show coming together. So
there you go.
Make sure
There
you
you go, Lee.
someone.
Look at this. Look at the absolute brass neck of the man. Not even hiding it. The corruption is just so blatant.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I tell you what, he'll soon be changing his mind when he's sitting here at 8 o'clock in the morning and he ain't turning up. I'll tell you that, man.
The guy just turned his explanation into an opportunity to promote a new show.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I bet it's called Cool Shiroi.
Yeah.
Better Call Shiroi. Actually, that's great. That's
Better Cool Shiroi.
Wake up with Turkish and Shiroi sometimes anyway, like, you know.
That's the beauty of it. You wake up for it, you wait and see if we're going to be live, and you might get it, you might not. That is the beauty of the show.
Oh yeah, comment to that one.
I'm a pretty forgiving person, but
your internet is deciding.
Great, my internet's gone.
No, you're back.
You're back.
Oh, great. Carry on. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying the 2 stars you chucked on for yourself and the open bus parade. I mean, that is funny.
The world doesn't want me to get rich. You see what's happening here? They're blocking James' internet.
Basically, what James is saying is he took an absolute liberty. The 2 stars, the bus parade, the turning up late, the new show. It's just you know, distasteful. It's distasteful.
I'm going to say this now, like, you know,
I'll be 4 points.
Like James is very. What's the word? James is very, very laid back and you know, nice guy. James actually.
He was fuming.
He was furious yesterday, and he was like, you know, on our side. And hopefully, he's got his internet back to confirm this.
Well, James, can you confirm or deny how furious you was yesterday when Turkish was running slightly late?
I wasn't as bad yesterday. I'm more annoyed now that the day we're filming it, the internet's not working, and it was working great yesterday. So that's what's pissing me off right now. But life goes on. Let's.
So what we say is 4 points. It's got to be 4 points at least.
Well, okay. Listen, if this is how the table looks right now, yeah, that's how the table looks right now. If you dock me a point, it's gonna look like that. If you dock me 2 points, it's gonna look like that. If you dock me 3 points, it's going to look like that. But if you get your wish, Jordan, and you dock me 4 points, it's going to look like...
Look at this.
It's going to look...
all over the place.
Well, I haven't even got the 4-1 there, but because I've got more correct scores than you, Jordan, I still finish ahead of you on 37 points.
But you know what? I can take that. I can. If you win it on goal difference, I can accept that. I can actually accept that. But it's got to be 4 points.
There we go. Look, there's 4 points deducted. There's the title in the bag. And you know what it is? We've seen Invincibles. We've seen treble winners. We've seen Centurions. Has anyone seen forfeitables before? Because no team has forfeited a game and won a league season until I've come about. And here I am.
You're a disgrace.
If I was
You know what?
Go on.
I vote for the 4-point stop because there's something that, even though I'm last, I feel good being just 3 points off top.
Yeah. 4
You know
points
what?
deducted. Yeah, I think
You
just
know.
see what sneaky little bloke he is up there.
I know.
He knows he's still got in the bag, like, you know.
All
what I
day
mean?
he's been planning that one. All day he's been
Yeah.
planning that one. All day.
Losing out by 3 points, I'll take that. Yeah. All right.
What do you mean? All day I've been planning it. Yesterday I woke up at 10 to 8 and I looked at my phone and I said, fuck it, I got a 4-point lead. I'm going back to sleep.
Oh, what a guy.
Look at this. Look at this.
What a
I
guy.
think now I said that he should be stripped of it. I really do.
It should be fine. It should be fine. It should be fine.
5 points. And I think we should go in, we should put a poll up.
No, we should. We should.
And
We should.
be voted by the audience.
I agree.
If I was
And I think if you get it, then good luck. And if you don't, I think we crown Jordan the champion.
Let's do that.
if I was Manchester City, I wouldn't have turned up at Brentford. I would have said, fuck it, we've won it already. Let's go and enjoy.
Wow.
Let's go and enjoy.
Absolutely.
And Lee, I'm a bit disappointed with you because as you can see, I've put your star there. I mean, I didn't forget about you.
I turned up every week, like,
He earned it.
you're a bit disappointed. I tell you what, when I got up yesterday morning, right, and I'm sitting around like we all are, I'm a little bit disappointed you're not there. I'm going to be honest, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll with the viewers.
No, he ain't doing no poll because he knows.
Oh, there you go.
No. Listen, as much as I love the viewers out there, and as much as the engagement has been beautiful all season long, and I've got the utmost respect for each individual out there that clicks the Fourever Arsenal podcast.
Shameless.
This is not a battle that will be going to the jury. Like
Shameless.
I said, I've got a new show with Shure coming out next season.
Another plug.
If you want to know the rules and regulations moving into next season, then tune into that show. Subscribe to my channel, Turkish LDN.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In bed with Troy. No shame.
wow.
No shame.
Oh wow. Anyway, let's get on with this because I'm furious now.
So what? Okay, so we've gone past that. All of that. Is anyone going to say congratulations? Is anyone going to say well done on the
cheek? The absolute cheek. The absolute cheek.
No.
I'm just gonna accept my 4th place and be delighted that Lee got the same amount of points. That's a win for me.
My wooden spoon, the red one. I'm looking forward to that more than I am.
With that, congratulations for that, like, you know, and we've also got this one because I think you deserve this, James. Just a little
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
Dear. So there's the two coming towards you because you have come bottom for not one season, absolutely for 2. It's an absolute disgrace. But there you go.
Do you not feel any shame that you got no more points than me? Surely, Lee. Surely.
He's taking he's got a star up there for having the same points as Jordan, like, you know what I mean?
Goal difference, mate. Goal difference.
It makes a difference.
Surely you feel a little ashamed of your performance this season.
Yeah, I am. But like, listen, I was actually sitting there when we was 3-0 down, going like, you're happy? I said, am I happy? I said, I'm bottom of this bloody league. I didn't know what I was going on about, like, but when Jesus scored, I was up like a good night.
I was, and actually when whose goal got chalked off? Partey's.
Yeah.
I was in the group chat. VAR.
I was fuming. I had 3-1. So
I was delighted.
I was cheering on Wolves.
I was screaming at the TV, going, "Ben White shoved him. Ben White got in the back of him, ref. What are you doing?"
Ben White went right down in my estimation. No wonder Southgate's got rid of you. I'm going. I'll tell you that.
I don't know if you lot saw as well. Unfortunately for you guys, the price of the shirts have also gone up this season. So,
by the way, that's a disgrace.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, like onto sort of football chat now. That's a disgrace. It already went up £10 from the year before. The whole point of the shirt is it's celebrating the Invincibles 20 years on. You have to buy the authentic match-worn shirt for you to actually get the stitching with the Invincibles results, which is what makes that shirt so special. Look, love the club and I get it. You know, these things cost money, inflation, all that. I hear it, but come on, imagine you're I'm lucky. I have to buy myself one shirt. There are families out there. There are people out there who are buying one for themselves, the rest of them kids. You know, I mean, I'm only imagining how it is. You can't buy it for one. You buy it for all three of them, whatever. You're £350 spent on kit before anything else. You know, it's a joke if you ask me. But
you're right, because people will look at it, and there are kids out there that some kids will get the one with the writing on it, and then other kids won't. And you know what I mean? Oh, your one's not real and all that. I think it's disgusting what they've done. I really do, like, you know. And as I say, for us, you know, thanks to you guys, this is the you know, the expensive one. And you know what? You can't really tell a difference between the most expensive one and last season's one, and that's how it should be, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, pretty poor from Arsenal. And I'll tell you another thing that I thought was pretty poor yesterday on Sunday, and it got to me a little bit, was some of the players were wearing the socks the right way and some of them weren't. You know what I mean? Like, what's all that about? You know, some of them had the flashes on the inside, some of them had on the outside. And Nelson come on with one on one side, one on the other. You know what I mean? Come on, what was all that about? You know, haven't they got a left and a right, with, you know, in their socks? You know what I mean? That tells you what one to put on.
Just on the shirt thing, I'm not buying it. I just think they're laughing at us. I think they're taking an absolute piss.
Yeah, I agree.
Every year putting it up by £10, and I saw Robbie's video talking about it, and I heard him talking about the fact that, you know, we're Arsenal fans, you just got to go and buy it, or you don't have to go and buy it, but it's what we do. And I'm like, that's the problem. We just give into it, we just buy it, and we just accept that every year it's £5 more, £10 more. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace, and I'm not buying it. I refuse to buy it. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it because it feels like they're laughing at us. It's like, you know what, we'll put it up by £10.
They are.
£80 for a shirt.
Yeah.
Come on.
Before the patches and the names and all of that.
Yeah,
so really,
no.
It's more if you get like the name badge, and I tell you what, you can get the as people don't know, you can get the Champions League logo on the sleeve and all, but they don't give you that for free. You know what I mean? So that's more. So
I'll pass on that.
Because we're Champions League, I see a lot of people with the Champions League logo on the side as well. Like, you know, disgrace, absolute disgrace.
What's that? Another £8, £12 or something just for the package?
Yeah, do you know, Turkish? You know, like I actually like the warm-up tops that you get. I always like to buy a couple of them.
So that's what I do. Yeah,
£50 they were last season. They're £60 this year.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They saw how well the black and gold shirt sold last year, the best-selling shirt ever, and they thought, well, the £10 rise didn't really have much of an effect. Let's do it again this season. And again, I mean, I think in the first couple of days of release, it was another record breaker, the home kit. So again, they're probably looking at it like, well, this increase hasn't had much of an effect either. Next season, don't be surprised if it's £85, £90.
Just don't. You know what? Go buy Declan Rice for 100 million. Then go buy Casado for 80.
But James, sorry to cut you there, but I don't even see a correlation, because even if they do get those players in, they're still mocking us by £80 for a shirt is an absolute disgrace. And whether you're spending the money on big money signings or not, yeah, I don't know.
You're right. You're right. There isn't a correlation. I'm just saying we're paying top dollar. Go do it as well.
Yeah, I agree. And don't forget, season tickets have gone up as well this year.
But I'm being petty. Like Jordan is saying that I'm being petty. I'm like, you're charging us this. So
I know.
I know. You're right. There's no correlation. That's a silly way of looking at it. By the way, I actually thought Sunday I thought the Arsenal fans' feeling around Sunday and the end of the season was good. I think it was the right feeling generally that I saw. I thought Dan Potts' fan cam was class. This whole, he was basically saying, look, we're behind the team. We've got a really good platform. Let's go again. I was worried that Sunday's feeling was going to be like almost not a little flat. I always knew the team were going to get a good send-off, but maybe like a feeling of that was our chance kind of thing. But I think the fans are raring to go next year and go again. And I think that's really encouraging. And I think we need a big summer now.
I have to say, James, you know, I mean, I think that was down to Mikel Arteta and his speech and Odegaard, because I was a little bit, you know, like I did celebrate the goals, but not the way that we have done all season, you know. But it was interesting. I looked around, everybody was sort of staying. And then I think when what Mikel said and Odegaard, you were disappointed we go get. I think that was fantastic what he said. I really do. I really do feel, and that's what got everybody staying and motivated for next season. Yes, it was we done okay, but we're disappointed. He kept mentioning that we're going to go again. We need to go again. I thought it was a brilliant speech, and I think that is what he has brought. You know, I do believe, and I think that, you know, if Mikel ever listens to the fans now, they are. I like the word he said. Be, you know, patience. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your support and everything like that. The club now, and under Mikel, are going to take him at what he's saying, like we did with Arsene Wenger a little bit. Tom, I felt we got let down by Wenger in the end. I felt that I would have followed Wenger forever, but the way it ended, he let us down a little bit by covering up certain things and whatever. I think now with Mikel Arteta, the fans are on board just like I am now, and we believe in what he's going to do. So don't let us down. You know, that's how I feel, and I don't think that he will. And that's where I feel I can follow him and be like I am at this moment in time. And with all the things that are taking the mickey out of us, like the shirt sales and all that, I'm pretty sure if you spoke to Mikel, he wouldn't be happy with that. That I know it's only a silly thing like the writing on the thing, but I think that is not the way to go. I really do. I think, you know, you don't abuse the fans' loyalty. Don't abuse the fact that, yeah, we've had a good season in this time around, but don't think that that's going to be enough, because I tell you what, us fans are fickle. Don't worry about that, like, and if things don't go well, we will change. But at this moment in time, we're behind the club, behind the team, and behind the manager.
Well, that's the point. It goes back to James' point about the club doing their bit by spending the money. What they're doing by increasing the shirt sales, the shirt prices, for next season, is putting themselves under more pressure. Because if us win the title, no one's going to care about an £80 shirt. They'll buy it. But if you don't win the title, if you finish 4th or 5th, things like the price of the shirt and the tickets are going to come. They'll be the first things the fans are going to start. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're just putting yourself under more pressure by increasing the prices, because it's like, well, okay, if you're increasing the prices, I want to double next year. James has, you know, made a fair point. If you're going to increase the prices, then that's going to increase my expectations. Yeah, if I'm paying more money now for a shirt, I want 2 trophies next year.
What they're saying to you, what they're saying to you is, right, and this is how I see it, right. There's a price for an extra price for the better shirt, right? The better shirt is an extra bit of money. So basically, if you want to go and buy that, go and buy, which the fans will, right? That comes down to the players as well. Now there's Casido out there, but he's got all the writing on his shirt. Like, you go and get him. You know what I mean? Like, you go and get Declan Rice, because they're the top people. Like, you know. And I'm with James on this. Like, you know what I mean? I expect, and I'm going to be really honest, I expect big signings this year. I don't expect us to be skinflinting on players, because at the end of the day, you're asking us, because we've got champion. You know, everybody goes mad about, we're in the Champions League. Well, I can tell you this at this moment: Champions League, all it's doing for me is costing me money to hear a theme tune. You know what I mean? It's what it's like, because my season ticket's gone up. The shirts have all gone up, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm probably sure that the beers would have gone up, the burgers would have gone up, the pies would have gone up. Everything's going up, like, you know what I mean? Like, to just do here some Champions League music and play 3 games against a better opposition, you know, like a Bayern Munich instead of a Feyenoord or someone like that. I'm telling you that now. I expect big things in this transfer window now, and I don't expect us to be skinflinting. I expect if you're going to let Xhaka go, I expect 2 class midfielders come down to this club, and also I want to see world-class players at the Emirates. I'm seeing class players at the moment. I want to see world-class players.
Yeah, I actually agree. And on James's point, I mean, Jordan, you're right. The price rise is disgraceful what it's got to over the years. But I think James's point is it's probably more digestible if you can get big names over the line and, like you said, win the big titles. No one's going to care too much about how much they paid because they're going to be more proud than anything to be rocking the badge, the shirt, the name, and all of that. Sorry, but Lee, you made a point after the game against Wolves, and I want to go back onto that point. But Arteta and Odegaard's post-match speech or post-season speech both led with disappointment.
Yeah.
Both led with this didn't turn out to be the season we would have thought or, expected, having, done what we've done throughout the majority of it. And that shows that, for me, Mikel Arteta has the standards I need to see from my manager. That's what I need to hear. That's what I need to see. I don't want to be, we've been in this situation before where we've heard, oh, top four's a trophy. You should be happy with it. Now we're in a situation where, you know what, even credit to Edu as well, because Edu said we've gone from being happy with top four to being disappointed with second. And he's bang on. I know a lot of people have ripped him for that for one reason or another, but for me, that's bang on. And that also increases the pressure on himself and the people around him to kick on next season. Because if second is a disappointment this season, it's going to be a bigger disappointment next season and the season after that. So it's now time that the bar's been raised, the line's been drawn. We are back. That's how I'm looking at it. We are back to square one. What are you going to do from here? And they're all saying all the right things, and I expect them to move early again. Rice, Caicedo, cheeky bid for Osimhen. We need a striker. Why not? I want us to start going for the top players, like Lee said. People might say it's not the Arsenal way, and it hasn't been the Arsenal way. You're right. But at the end of the day, we're now dealing with a big six. We're now dealing with more clubs than we've ever been dealing with in the past when we're talking about a title or challenging or competing for the top four and so on. We've got to push the boat out here and there, and this is the season to do it now. So hopefully we're in for a big summer.
But I'm excited. I trust the people in charge. I'm not sitting here stressing about it. Let's see what happens. I'm excited to see how the next 4, 5, 6 weeks heading into pre-season unfolds.
I'm with you on that. And it ain't all about signing £90 million players or things like that. It's about getting the right players in, which is what they've done over the last few seasons. What is exciting for me about the Champions League is that we have signed very, very good players without it. And we have, Like, if you look at the players that we've got in this football club at the moment, we're all sit here and go, we love every single player that's playing for the Arsenal at the moment. They have all come under the Europa League banner, right? Now, this is the Champions League banner. It's gone up a level. And I can tell you this, guys, now, right? None of us, and that is including us four in here and all around the fan group, when we got top four, none of us celebrated it. None of us went on the streets going, yeah, we got Champions League football. Hey, like it was a trophy. What I will say is, and I'm not having a dig at Spurs when I say this, even though I like to, when I come out of Tottenham last season, they was all having a party and all that because they got top four. And I think that we would have done exactly the same if we'd have got top four last season. We would have been celebrating it, We didn't celebrate it this season. That shows you what levels we've gone up. So if we if we celebrate top four next season, that would say that we've failed. We've failed because we've not improved on last season. Now, I'm not saying that because we come second, we should go first because you're up against Manchester City. But I will be very, very disappointed if Arsenal don't put in a title challenge next season and don't end up second again. You know what I mean? It's no disgrace and not to be ashamed to be second behind this Manchester City team. And one of the things that pleased me, I know at the end of the day they might not drop, but look back at the table now. 5 points is about right of how better they were than us. So I'm quite pleased with that when I have a look at the league table. Not because we obviously didn't win it, but it could have been 8, 9, 10 points, and that wouldn't have been right, and wouldn't have been a right reflection on the season. But 5 points is a reflection.
What could have been? Like I said in my fan cam, I was there at the game and I was checking the Man City scores throughout in my head, just thinking this should have been the game where I've got my phone right in front of me. I'm constantly refreshing the Flash Score app, waiting for Brentford to score, seeing us do our job. It was all a dream.
But Turkish, you know, and look, let's have it right. Man City played very rotated 11s and all that, but this is why I wanted us to take it to the final week. Ultimately they dropped the 5 points I was looking for them to drop, but like I said, there's context to it. But what's key is little things like, look at that Enciso goal, right? You know, brilliant playing out the back, but then it's a goal, it's a strike from 25 yards, whatever, into the top corner. Anything can happen in football. Look at, Haaland scored and what was it, offside, or there was a foul in there. They missed some big chances in that game. Football can just happen. Even though they rotated, Man City dropped points because they missed some big chances. A little bit of luck didn't go their way. And then a really great goal kind of denied them. And Brighton played well as well. But my point is, I just want us to take it to the final week because things can just happen. And that result could have happened even if they had their first 11 out. I'm saying when you look at kind of the way the game went. But look, it's all happened now. Proud of the team on a good season. Let's go and rate them all now.
Well, what do we make of the Xhaka situation? Because it looked like for the 2 weeks leading up to the final game of the season that it was going to be his final game. I think everyone's still assuming it is his final game, or it was his final game. But Mikel Arteta's kind of come out to question where the question from the interviewer came from regarding Xhaka's final game. Do we see it as he's gone, or is there still?
Did you see Pippa's video?
Yeah, we'll find out next week.
By the way, big up to Pippa, because a lot of people took that video and shared it and didn't credit her. But anyway, Pippa, just asked him straight up at his car, "Are you leaving?" And he said, "We'll see." My feelings on it very quickly are, while my internet's working, I think he is going, because I think, with the whole thank you Gunners post and all that, you've got to think it's close. He has actually been close to leaving before and said, Rome is nice and all that, and then didn't leave. So things might change. If you're asking me right now, would I take Granit Xhaka staying and 2 players coming in along with that over him leaving and potentially going and bringing 3 in? I'd rather he stays and we get 2 more. I think he's shown his value in the squad this season, and in the first 11, and he knows what Arteta needs him to do in that position, and he's clearly respecting the team. You saw that with the standing ovation from the players as well on the bench and the staff. So if he stays and we bring in 2 players, that for me is the perfect situation for our midfield going to next year. And Smith Rowe staying, he's here to be a midfielder as well, no doubt.
I actually agree. I think he will go. He's going. I just don't think he can say it until it's confirmed and announced, but I think he's going. But I also would keep him as long as we brought in 2 more midfielders. As a squad player, Xhaka's a good player for us. Oh, I said his name. He's a good player for us. I said his name. And I actually want to, just as we're talking about him now, the Swiss captain, number 34, our longest serving player, I believe, Granit Xhaka. There you go. I want to say well done for a brilliant season. I think he's had a really good season. I've been hard on him for years, and I wanted him out. Him and Mustafi were 2 players that for years I wanted gone. I just wanted gone. But fair play to him. He's turned it around. He's showing the club respect when for a time, and the fan base respect for a time when he didn't show us respect when he walked off the pitch. I thought what he did walking off the pitch was unforgivable. You can't do that. I don't care what the circumstance is. You can't walk off the pitch, tell the fans to F off and throw the captain's armband. You can't do that. You just can't do that. But to do that and then win the fans back round with performances, but not only performances, but leadership. Because I think he is our captain in all but name. And I think that's how he's won me around. I've watched him play and I think to myself, you care about this club. You care about this club winning. You care about your performances and what you're doing. I do still hold him responsible for the Liverpool comeback, but we won't go there again. But that aside, I do think he deserves a lot of respect. And Granit Xhaka, I think he's going. I will say congratulations and well done for the last 18 months, 2 years. But I do think it's time to level up. I think the reason why he's going is because the contract length. I think the club are prepared to give him a 1 year, and I think he's been offered a 3 year in Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I think that's the reason why he's ultimately going. And I get it. He wants to secure his future, and I understand that. But if they could give him a 2 to 3 year contract, with the understanding that he won't be starting next season, I'd have no issue him staying.
I'd like to think that he's probably decided that he wants to leave because he knows that he's not going to get so many minutes. Like, they've had a chat and they've said, look, we're bringing in so and so and so and so, and you know, you will still get minutes, but not as many. And I think that's what I'm hoping that is the scenario. And if that is the case, that's, you know, thank you very much. We're looking to get it up. And what I will say on this is sometimes, you can give him another year, but next year you might not be able to get the player that you want this year. You know, it might be one of those players coming in who's on a free transfer and they want to get that player in. And it means that, you know, you have to make sacrifices. And this is what I said before all of this comes next season. I think we're going to have to accept that there's going to be a couple of sacrifices to get what we want. And if Xhaka is going to be sacrificed for a Casido and a Rice, then, or someone of that ilk, then, you know, we're all going to take that, aren't we? Like, you know, but for me, you know, he's been fantastic the last couple of years. And if there was a case scenario that we can bring in those players and he could still be a backup and all that, I would love that. But when you get to a certain age of your career, you want to continue playing. That doesn't mean to say that you move and that's going to happen, but you know that if you're going to be signed by another club, you feel like you're going to be playing more games. Yeah. And also when you get to that age when you're being a regular and then all of a sudden you're not, it can be very, very hard to take. And so I get everything there. Like, but the one thing that I will say that I'm going to miss is that Arsenal over the years have been accused of being bullied. When he's in the team, that don't happen.
Yeah,
you know I mean, like, so if we're going to let him go, we've got to bring in a couple of real strong characters for when that happens. And another big thing is that, you know, which I don't think none of us have got said anything about it. Like, you know, not one player sent off in the whole of the season this season.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday.
From what's been going on over the last few years, that just shows you the discipline that the managers implicated through training and whatever. So big up to every single player there.
Lee, sorry, is that legally or is that total?
In everything,
all competitions.
In all competitions.
Yeah, that is
all
brilliant.
Competitions. You know what I mean? So that's players that have been getting bookings and then not making silly tackles and things like that. Listen, you know what I mean? You will get a sending off every now and then for whatever, but the discipline of the football club, you know, has always been questioned. You know, even under Wenger about discipline and, you know, whatever. Can't say that now. So that just shows you how well the manager has done. And the credit to them all. And Granit Xhaka, probably the biggest culprit of all on that. When he got booked this time, I never actually thought, I'll get him off. You know what I mean? He was stable, and you know, so all credit to him. Like, and listen, he'd been missed. And I'll tell you what's a great thing is, as Jordan said there, from that day onwards, if you'd have turned around anybody and said, you know, he'd have got this standing ovation, you made a film about it or something like that, you say, well, it's not realistic. It's not true. It's never going to happen. And it is. And that's what's fantastic about football. So well done to him. Well done to Mikel. And also well done to the fans, because the fans' opinion has changed. And he done that with performances. And that's what can happen.
That's all that really matters to us, what you do on the football pitch.
Exactly that.
I don't care about your private life or whatever. You know, I wish you the best and I hope you're happy. But in terms of my love for Arsenal, it's on the pitch. And if you're showing me 100% commitment on the pitch and you're reliable and you're doing the best you possibly can, then that's all I can really ask for. At the same time, if he stays, that would be ideal. 2 midfielders in and he becomes a rotational option. If he goes, I'd want 3 midfielders in, ideally Gundogan with Rice and Caicedo, but we'll see what we do. And we'll talk about transfers more moving forward. We have got about 10, maybe just 15 minutes left max to go through the player ratings. So let's kind of, we'll start with the goalkeeper. We'll work round.
Can I just say, Turkish, before we start? I saw Cecil, Ty, Rob do their play ratings. I watched that video after the game. Disgrace. They were disgraceful. They really were. There was 9s and 10s flying about. They were generous. There'll be no 9s or There'll be a few nights. There's no 10s on this show. I can tell you for a fact. Sorry, just want to say they were embarrassing.
Respect Matt Turner.
Fair enough. So what are you saying? This is the real player rating?
This is a real player rate for AFTV.
Just on Cecil, did you see, like the Spurs fans put a flag out back, mocking the Arsenal, and he's on it, like, you know what I mean? So, with his shirt at Christmas, like, you know what I mean? So, poor old Cecil, like, you know what I mean? Ain't going to live that one down, like,
He's getting it.
He's getting it.
You look gutted for him, Lee.
Oh yeah, totally devastated for him. Like, if he wants to do stupid things like that, you know what I mean. There's consequences, isn't there? Like, you know,
have it, mate. Have it.
He's only new. He's learning. He's learning
He's learning on the
job. Listen, I joined at the same time. I didn't once dream of printing the league table on my t-shirt.
But listen, you're an intelligent man, like, you know, I mean, that's all I was saying. Like, you know what I mean? Cecil's got personality, but, like, you know, I wouldn't want him on my quiz team. That's all I'm saying.
Credit to him, yeah, he's owning it. I actually asked him, are you like, joking apart, are you okay? Because a lot of people are sharing this. He went, yeah, it was just a Christmas t-shirt. It's not that deep. I was like, oh, fair enough. He's around.
Yeah, he had to do a video with me anyway. But yeah, I'm happy he done that video afterwards with the tea, because I'm not in that video, and that's the one that's gone viral. So that's all good. Let's start Ramsdale. Let's do the main players rather than the ones that have been on the fringes / haven't played many minutes. So do the main players, the starting 11.
You're not gonna let me rate Carl Hines' season.
Unfortunately not, James. Unfortunately.
Sorry, we're shortchanging the viewers here, but all right, let's go.
You're the one that needs to leave early. If you want to extend your stay, and then
all right, it's an 8 for Ramsdale.
That'll be fun.
Wait, to be honest, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to give Ramsdale an 8.
Yeah, I'm an 8 as well.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Yeah. I'll give him an 8. I think he's made some big saves across the season at big moments. And as we know, goals change games. And he has made saves when we've been 1-0 up or 0-0 that you're like, wow. I can think of a handful of games right now. So he's been one of my top 3 players of the year at Arsenal. He's in my top 3. So yeah, I'd give him an 8. I was going to go to a 9, but I'll say an 8. Let's go for an 8.
And he's improved this season. I think his season's got better than last season. The mistakes are not so much there. Every now and then there is, but I think that he should be very proud of his season this season.
Yeah, very good. Room for improvement, but with his age, I think that comes hand in hand with experience and development. The way I look at it is it's an 8 this season. If he has the same season next season with some of the mistakes that we've seen this season, then I'd probably rate that more as 7, potentially a 6, because I would have hoped that he'd learning from his mistakes this season. But for this season, his age and it's only his second full season at the club, I think he's been solid and one.
He has pulled off some worldy saves. Like I just remember back to Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle,
Tottenham, White Hart Lane.
Yeah. I mean, if someone wanted to give him a 9, I wouldn't fight them.
I was thinking about a 9, but I'll go over 8 with you guys. I'll go over an 8.
Okay, an 8. All right, let's go right back. Ben.
I'm trying to go with a 9 now. I tell you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Jordan, be at you. Benjamin White, right back. Didn't expect him to be our starting right back of the season, but Saliba came in, took the right centre back slot, and Benjamin White slotted in that right back, and he hasn't looked back. Jordan, let's start with you first. We'll go around in terms of starting with ratings. So you give us yours for White.
It's a 7 for me. I think he's had a really good season. I don't quite rate him as much as you guys do, but if I'm being objective and fair, he's had a brilliant season. And I think for 80% of the season, I think he's been brilliant. I think he's solid. I think he's been a very, very good ally to Saka on that side. I think defensively, I rarely see him get beat. I'm just still not totally comfortable with him being a right back. I think he'd be a better centre back, but I just don't. That's not going to happen now. But I would like to buy a really good right back and have Ben White as a third centre back. I think if White, Saliba, and Gabriel are your 3 centre backs, you're doing pretty well in terms of quality of personnel. So it's a 7 for me. I've seen some bad games, a handful of bad games, but when he's been really good, he's been very important to Saka, which I think is really important. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
7. Lee.
I'm going to give him an 8. I think he was exceptional for 8 months of the season. The last part, he just dropped off a little bit. I thought he played really, really well on Sunday. He's had 1 or 2 bad games on the way, but I think, if I'll be really honest, he's gone above and beyond as far as his performances are concerned this season. I think he's been brilliant, and I think that he could play in a back three. I think Arsenal will play back three next season, maybe in Europe and whatever. I think that he'll be key to that. I think that he's had a wonderful season, and he gets a lot of stick from other fan bases, and I don't understand why. I think he's been outstanding.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, 8 for me, but it's like an 8 closer to a 9 than it is. Yeah, because I think he's been exceptional.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 8 as well. I think it's been a good debut season in that position for him. But I'm with Lee. I think I see a different setup next season, and that right centre back slot being more for Ben White, and with the rumours of a right back coming in, he's going to be competing with Saliba and/or the right side of the back three. Having for 32 games of the season, I never saw him under any real threat. I mean, he dealt with the majority of wingers in the league. He was a big part of our great early defensive record as well. He overlapped Saka when necessary. I know that faded towards the end, and actually White as an individual, I think he was quite burnt out towards the end as well in some of those games. I still think he's done enough for an 8. 8 out of 10 for me.
Can I just very quickly add, sorry, Turkish, that one thing I do rate about him as well is, from what I can remember, he never gets caught napping at the back post. One of the things that used to drive me crazy about Bellerin was that he always got caught napping at the far post. So when the ball's on our left side, he was always caught ball watching, and we'd let in a lot of goals through Bellerin at the back post, just ball watching. Ben White never ball watches, or I can't think of times when I've thought that goals come across you and you've not had your marker. Yeah. He's very, very diligent with his right back duties. He's very intelligent. So it's a 7 for me, but it's 7 probably leaning towards an 8 if I'm being really fair.
I like the dirty side he has as well, but sometimes he gets physical with either the goalkeepers or the defenders, and you need that as a defender. So a few 8s and a 7. Let's move over to the other side. A big signing last summer, Zinchenko. He's came in and transformed the way we play. Defensive concerns about him all season, probably highlighted more towards the end with the whole slip up and missing out on the league title. But all in all, 38 game season. Lee, where are you going with for Zinchenko?
I'm going to go for a 7 for Zinchenko, and the only reason I'm going for that is because he's been injured for quite a part of that as well. He's not been, hasn't played as many games as I'd like, if I'll be honest. I think he's a very, very good player going forward. Forget about his defensive stuff. He's not in there for that. He's in there to create and do what he's done. And when he's been available for us, I think he's been magnificent. But not enough games for me. I think it's his 3rd injury this season. Seems to go 3 or 4 games and then has a little injury. He's got, and when you think about it, we've got a lot more games next season. So that's and maybe that's why Mikel's looking to bring someone on the right so that it don't change our shape so much. Well, I thought that worked really well with Partey, by the way. But yeah, for me, a 7.
7.
Yeah, I give him an 8 for the same reasoning that Lee said, that actually a few too many injuries. Yeah, the end of season form, mainly defensively, was the only time defensively I think he's been a concern. I just think for most of the season he's been fine. Just to kind of as an out-and-out left back, we haven't had the ball. But you know what? If he kept fit, maybe showed a little bit more form towards the end of the season, but I've leaned towards the 9s and 10s because he's been so transformative to this team. All right, well, we'll come to you, Jordan. You'll get your say. If people talk, Saliba and Jesus have had a massive impact, but what he has done from left back position to impact this team is unbelievable. There were shouts there were genuine discussions about him being the signing of the season at one point. Obviously, it's Haaland, we know that, but there were genuine discussions about that, and that's because of how good he was. I think it's very easy to forget in that January to March period how brilliant he was for us. So yeah, it's an 8, but because of that loss of form and the injuries.
Another 8 for me. I think you're going to hear a lot of 8s from me, that's for sure, because I think 8 kind of represents a season where there's been progress, there's been very good performances, but to get more consistent 9s and 10s, I think you need to get over the line in something, whether that's a Premier League title, FA Cup, Europa League. You know, we failed in the lot come the end of the season, but 8 for Zinchenko, more so because of how he's transformed us in terms of the system we are playing and the overload in midfield. A cool heads under pressure at times. There are concerns for me. I mean, at the beginning of the season, James in particular said, you know, he's coming in as a midfielder, as an 8, and competition for Xhaka. And to be honest, he wasn't wrong when you look at his positions on the pitch. He doesn't start in that position, but he adds the overload. He adds the extra man in the middle that creates the overload. I've seen him give away the ball one too many times across the season in silly positions. So I have my doubts whether he could start in midfield. But in terms of playing left back inverted and assisting, I think he's been pretty close to a revelation in terms of seeing what we're seeing in terms of a system.
I agree.
The importance. Jordan, you can open your eyes wide, but under Wenger, it became so stale. It was so much of the same football going in and out every single week, not really kind of tweaking things, not really coming up with something new, that it's been so refreshing to see what Zinchenko and later on we'll talk about Jesus have done in terms of the modern philosophy we've been seeing from Pep and even Klopp at Liverpool and the great sides over the last 10 years. So for me, 8.
I mean, I couldn't disagree anymore. The two of you, it's a 6 for me. And the reason why it's a 6 for me is because, first of all, I'm not totally in love with this inverted role.
He can't pass like Edison. Just say it, Jordan.
Well, there is that. There is that. But also, I'm just not in love with this inverted role. I'm not convinced by it. Second of all,
City are about to win a league with it.
Yeah,
City are about to win a treble with the same system.
But we're not City. And City have a squad and a team that is more seasoned in that particular, because they've been doing it for 2 seasons now, Manchester City. They can afford to do, they can do that. They have the personnel across the pitch to do that. I'm not sure that it works yet for us. I'm not, Turkish, you mentioned some of his defensive deficiencies. I'm not convinced that what he contributes in midfield, coming into midfield, outweighs what we lose from him as being a left back. I think there's been lots of games where he's given the ball away really cheaply. Unlike Ben White, there have been goals where I'm looking at him and thinking, that's your fault, Zinchenko. And I personally would like a left back. I wouldn't even be mad if we moved him into midfield. I wouldn't be angry if he was our 4th midfielder. I wouldn't be angry about that. But for me, I think he's had a good season. Injuries have kind of really curtailed where I would really want him to be, but it's a 6 for me. I think he's been just above average. I think when he's played, he's been good, but there's been lots of bad as well with him in the team. So it's a 6 for me.
Cool. With Lee, what was yours again? At 8 as well?
7.
7, a couple 8s and a 6. So a bit more varied there. Centre backs. Let's start with the centre back that ended the season, Gabriel.
Oh, I get to kick this one off. Again, I'm hovering on an 8/9. I'll give him an 8 because I think the first 10 or so games of the season a little shaky. And then I think a few goals conceded in the run-in where maybe could have done a little better. That's where I'm kind of, that's where the negatives come. Mm-hmm. But I think he's been really, really good all season. Arsenal conceded far too many goals this season, far too many. However, I think that's a problem with the team. I don't look at Saliba necessarily. Even Rob Holding, who's had a lot of criticism, and we'll get on to Rob Holding. I mean, ultimately the team kind of failed, in its defensive duties. And Gabriel and Saliba, I mean, the amount of work that they're asked to do just as a pair. Yeah. We're all going to bomb forward. We're going to have 8 attackers. Can the 2 of you just sweep up? We put immense pressure on them, and they come through so often. And the amount of away clean sheets, I think, is such a big sign as to how resilient they've had to be as a pair as well. So Gabriel gets an 8, but again, if people want to go 9s, I'm not going to fight them on it.
I think I'm going to give him an 8 as well, but he's probably probably closer to a 7 than a 9 for me, but I'm going to say 8 because without Saliba, he has looked a bit suspect at times. And James, you are right. Beginning of the season and end of season, there was a couple moments there, maybe more mistakes at the beginning and more moments at the end where could he have done better? Should he have done better? But throughout the majority, I think he was solid. And part of why we have been so great this season, breaking the lines of his passes as well. Let's not forget that, as well as being kind of the rugged centre back of the two is Saliba. But I think I'm gonna stick with an 8. Jordan.
It's an 8 for me as well. I think he's had a brilliant season, but I think also I would upgrade if I could on him for next season. I just don't think he's a Premier League winning starting centre back, in my opinion. But Chris Hudson posted an article on my Twitter this morning in The Athletic that's singling out Gabriel for praise, and I think he deserves praise. But I don't see him as a Premier League starting centre back, winning centre back, in my opinion. But I will give him an 8 because of, as you mentioned, the away record. He's been integral to our away form this season. So I think that deserves acknowledgement. So it's an 8 for me. But like you said, it's an 8, probably just leaning towards a 7 more than a 9.
Yeah, 3 8s. Lee, full house?
No, see, like, it's opinions, isn't it? Like, you know, for me, I'm giving him a 9. And the reason I'm giving him a 9 is because, one, he's been there every game. You know, I think that's credit to him. He puts his body on the line every single game, but he's there week in, week out. We don't really know how much we're going to miss him because he's always there. I also think that with Zinchenko going off post, which he does, it means there's a lot of space for him to cover. I don't see him getting skinned that often. There's a couple of times he has done this season with some, but I think that he has to defend from on the front foot. I don't think he gets the credit for that. He's the one that gets in there physically and does all that. He doesn't back off and shy off from anything, and he has to do a lot of covering there. I know Martinelli does that as well, helps him out quite a lot. But I think he's been consistently good this season. 9 for me.
9. 3 8s and a 9. I think that's the best score so far for a player. Let's move to Saliba. I'm going to kick off Saliba. I'm going to go with a 9 on Saliba. I think, you know, when you take into consideration it's his first season in the league, when you take into consideration his age and what he's brought to us, I think Lee, you said it recently in terms of the one that is closest to being the world-class player that we kind of need moving forward in terms of all the young players we have. I agree with you. Saliba is the one. I look at him and I just think, in a couple of years, this guy's going to be a beast. He's supposed to already, but in a couple of years, with more confidence, with more experience, with more, years under his belt, I think he's got the potential to be one of, if not the best centre back in the world in years to come. Composed under pressure, calm. He can also get rugged as well. I know Gabriel tends to do that sort of work, but Saliba's not shy. He doesn't shy away from a challenge or a 50-50. He's there, and when you look at the impact that his injury had towards the end of the season, not only defensively but transitionally as well, and our fluidity playing at the back and breaking the lines and moving forward with the ball, it had a massive impact. So for me, one of the players of the season for sure. Unfortunate end, but I need him to sign that contract. 9 out of 10. Jordan.
Wow. It's a 7 for me. And I think he's been brilliant when he's played. He's been brilliant. But I have to factor in games missed. I think you have to factor in the games that have been missed. It's not his fault, but it's relevant. And he's missed, a chunk of the season, the most important part of the season. Again, not his fault, but it's a fact. He's missed lots of games. And I agree with you. I think his ceiling to be one of the top 5 defenders in the world is there to be grabbed. When he's not there, we change how we play. He can't squeeze the pitch as much as you can when he is there. And I think he'll be a star for us if he signs that contract. But I'm going to give him a 7 because I think Gabriel, over the piece, deserves a bit more credit than he does, even though Saliba's better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Game changing central defender for me. When I see him, I knew that Arsenal would be a lot better with him. I really do. And I'm going to be really honest. Since he's gone out of the team, we've gone back to where we were last season, and like a top 4 side. He is the game changer for me. I'm going to be really honest. If he hadn't got injured, it's a 10 out of 10 from me. I really do. But I'm going to go for an 8 because of that injury. It's just, towards the latter part of the season, no fault of his own that he's not been about. Wow, we have missed him. You know what I mean? I do think he's our best player. I really do. I think that he has all the attributions to be world class. I think that he's got it all. Pace, power, intelligence. First season as well in the Premier League, you'd think he's had about 10. 21 years of age, my word. And I think that it's so important. I will not be relaxed until he has signed that contract. That's how important he is to this team. That's how I feel he is. I think he is the most important player. I think I haven't seen a centre half as good as him for a very, very long time.
You know what it is? You know what it is with it as well, because of how well we've done this season. And let's say like everything goes well in the next few years, and then we win titles and we potentially win Champions League or compete at the highest level for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Something about him just makes me think, when you look at the old Arsenal team, and you'll get like the Ian Wrights and the Henrys and the Perez's and Youngbergs and the Bergkamps that tend to get a lot of the credit because they're the attackers, they're the the fancy ones. But then somewhere there you see Tony Adams who knits it all together in the dressing room, who's that kind of leader, kind of the one that people turn to in a battle. I can see Saliba becoming that for Arsenal. As much as Saka and Martinelli and the young players, Odegaard, will get the credit they deserve because of their attacking influence, I think Saliba's the one where he's the base to build off of.
Yeah, and also I think that Gabriel gets a little bit less downgraded because of how good he is.
Yeah. James, we got a 7, 8, and a 9.
I'll give him an 8. I mean, again, it could so easily be a 9. I'll give him an 8 because I don't want to give him higher than Gabriel. I think in different ways they've been as good as each other. But I think Saliba has a slightly better, you rarely see a highlight reel of defenders, but I think you could make a really good. I mean, who remembers that interception away at Stamford Bridge? When they tried to play it in behind to Aubameyang?
I do.
Stuck a leg out, but almost flipped it back above himself, span around, took a touch, and then we played out. And it's just like, wow. I mean, that's really classy. I think he's got the potential to be world class. So I'll give him an 8. Factoring in that he actually looked a little off it as well post World Cup for the next month and a bit. But him and Gabriel, that's a special partnership. I really believe it will prove to be. And you need to sign that contract. Has to. Yeah. That's as big as any signing for me this season.
It actually is, because if he's not going to sign this summer, we've got to sell him.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
Jordan,
and how do you replace?
Yeah, you can't. Jordan, Thomas Partey.
It's a 6. A 6 for me, and I'm being super harsh on Thomas Partey because I love him. And start of the season, I remember saying that of all the players in our squad, he's the most important player. Not the best, but the most important. And I stand by that. Funnily enough, I think Saliba will be that guy next year, but we'll see who we bring in. I just think that Lee nailed it about a month ago when he said, when he's 100%, you can't touch him. He's just, he's almost a Kante in terms of 2 players in one. He's brilliant. I think technically he's gifted. I think he's really strong on the ball. I think he makes good interceptions. I think he's a very good backup man for the more creative players in front of him, like Odegaard and then who I am naming. So he knows his role really well. But when he's not 100%, the drop off is huge. It's huge, and he's missed some really key games. Again, some through injury, but just some through just not being on it. So if I'm looking at the whole season, when he's been brilliant, he's been brilliant. When he's been bad, he's been really bad. So I'm being harsh, but it's a 6 for me.
I think that's quite.
Yeah, I do think you've been a little bit harsh on that there. For me, it's an 8. I totally agree with everything you said there. I think when he's on his form, I thought he was back to his best. I know on Sunday, it didn't matter, but he looked a little bit fit, a little bit sharper. I felt,
he looked very good.
I felt that maybe like when it really mattered for us, he wasn't 100% fit, but when he was fit, I actually going to say it's probably a pleasure to watch. He's a midfield player that I like. Obviously been a midfield player myself. He makes it look easy. and you know that it's not. And I think that sometimes, he does do that. Again, the injury thing will always be a thing over him for me, but 8 out of 10 because I think some of his performances, and I think when I look back at the Spurs games, particularly the away from home game there, he was absolute different class. So 8 for me.
8.
Before I give my rating, because I actually still haven't decided, I think his season has been sort of immaculate till the run-in, which then became a little bit of a disaster class. I thought the Etihad was bad day for him. I thought the trying to flick it over Declan Rice and then we concede a penalty. I know, obviously Gabriel is at fault for that too. Yeah. I just thought there was some really kind of bad, and I'm kind of with Jordan on the availability thing. It was my graphic that kind of did the rounds on social media with the amount of big games he's missed since he's arrived at Arsenal. Like, it's a big amount. I'll give him an 8. I'm trying to figure out whether it's a 9 dropping to an 8 or an 8, like whether he was playing at a 9 most of the season and then the bad end has dropped him to an 8, or whether he was playing as an 8 for most of the season and the bad season dropped him down to a 7. Yeah, I think I'll give him an 8. I'll be kind. But there was a bad end.
I do think that if his final 8-9 games were as good as his first 29-30, then and we win the league, I'd be giving him a 9. But
or a 10.
Or 10, yeah.
Good. I think he was that good.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I'll go with you.
I think the drop-off and the fact that he is one of the most experienced players, not only by age, but time at the club as well. In terms of the starting 11, you see how much of the young core is in there. He's been here a few years. I just can't shake the end of the season. And I know it must be an injury because some of those games I'm looking at him and he's just struggling to even run.
It was bad, yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go with a 7. Slightly below my 8 average, but I'm going to go with a 7. It probably is closer to a 6 than an 8 for me because I was so disappointed with the way it ended for Thomas because I rate him so highly, similar to Jordan. I rate him so highly. And it wasn't that long ago we was all, talking about who's the best DM in the league, Partey, Rodri, Casemiro, and then at the end it just, fell flat on his face. So
can I just add Turkish because I know we're going to move on really quickly, but just to give him some praise on the North London derby goal that puts us 1-0 up. Great strike. His performance away from home in the North London derby was fantastic. I know it was the FA Cup, so some people, but Man City went full strength. When we took him off, we saw the drop off. So there have been moments where we've really seen like where we kind of suffered, but then at the same time, Jorginho came in and did brilliantly away at Newcastle. So, he's not irreplaceable. There is a great Arsenal side without without Partey in there. But
I think in the bread and butter games, he was brilliant. If you look at the bread and butter games, the kind of at home to, I don't know, bloody Nottingham Forest, or at home to
about 14 Premier League teams.
I know, I'm struggling. Give me in the kind of standard 3 o'clock games we had in the first half of the season. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He was 8s and 9s out of 10s in most of those games. But in some of the key big games / the title run-in, I just think his drop-off was probably bigger than anybody else's. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. His drop-off in that last 9 games was Saka maybe as well, but Partey was really, his level really dropped.
Granit Xhaka.
9 for me. I felt he was solid all the way through the season. A couple of bad games he had was when he was not available, and then the game against Man City wasn't fit. It showed. Whenever he's on his game, I think Arsenal play really, really well. I think his goal contribution has to be taken into consideration. Scored goals this season. His work rate, box to box. I'll never forget the tackle against Newcastle when he goes from one end of the field to the other. Desire, heart. I know that we done the poll and he didn't even get in the top 3, did he, for the AFTV Player of the Year? I'm very surprised at that. It would have been in my top 3, but a 9 for me.
Yeah, 9. 9, 16 goal contributions in all competitions. That's 14 in the league, 7 goals, 7 assists. And the defensive work goes under the radar a little bit because that's what he's been criticised for in the past. But I think he's been really, really, really good. So he's my first 9. And when I think about it, over the whole 38 games, do I think he has been slightly better than Gabriel and Saliba, who got 8? I'd say, yeah, I'd say that sounds about right. I think Gabriel and Saliba are perhaps more important to the future of this club and their potential and all that. But just for this season alone, yeah, I'd say Xhaka's edged it.
Yeah, I'm not angry with 9s. I'm going to go with an 8. I think when you look at expectation and reality, I mean, there's no other player that's in my opinion in the league most improved behind Xhaka. I think he has come on leaps and bounds this season. 7 goals, 7 assists in the league. I mean, that's a pretty good output from an 8. Even if you compare it to the 8s across the league, I just think there's room for improvement, not necessarily for Xhaka in that position, but for another player. I think we can be a bit smoother in the final third. Don't get me wrong; his output has been much better than expected. 7 goals, 7 assists. But I just think at times in the final third, he has looked a bit like a fish out of water. So yeah, overall, I think it's a strong 8. It's an 8 going more towards a 9 than it is an 8 going towards a 7. That's for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with an 8. So 8, a couple 9s, Jordan.
For me, pre-World Cup, our best player. I think his fitness levels have been insane. He gets around the pitch really, really well. His goal contribution, I think, is significant as well. That I'm with Lee. That Newcastle performance might be his iconic Arsenal performance. In 8 years, he was brilliant. That was a game that we all thought we were going to win, if we're all honest. And he was the best player on the pitch. And that was the game that kind of reinvigorated a little bit of hope that you never know. We might still do it. We might still do it. Of course, we didn't. It's an 8 for me. But yeah, it's an 8 going. I'm not mad at 9 as well, but I'm going to give him an 8. But it's an 8, closer to a 9 than it is a 7.
8, yeah, 8 plus. Let's look at it like that.
Yeah.
2 8s and 2 9s. Odegaard, James.
9. Yeah, the goal contributions are there. Silky, just so good to watch. Yeah, the thing I'd say, just for the sake of a little bit of balance, I still think Odegaard. I mean, look, the De Bruyne comparisons came up this year, and I get it. That's their most creative player versus our most creative player in the title race, blah, blah, blah. I still think there's quite a way to go for Odegaard till he gets to like De Bruyne levels. And I know De Bruyne, by the way, can go missing at times. But the output's there. And he just knit things together. A few games this season where we needed a goal where he's really kind of stepped up and, tried to make things happen. He's a class player and he's still very young. And he's 23, 24. But I mean, I think it's going to be 3-4 years and he'll be even better. I love him. And I think he's actually, as a captain, he's done it in his own way and quite well. So a 9 for Martin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 9 as well. I remember when we was first strongly linked with getting a deal done, and there was the whole James Maddison Odegaard stuff. And listen, I love both players. I think they're very different 10s in my opinion. I always looked at Maddison as the one the 10 that will get you more goals, the 10 that will be the more finisher in the final third, whereas Odegaard's more the creator in the final third. But when you look at the season Odegaard's had in terms of numbers, it matches up. I mean, I wanted more goals from him, and he gave us more goals. Ended up our joint top scorer this season, as well as being as creative as he has been throughout the season. I think he's been one of our best players, one of the candidates for player of the season. So 9 for me. And let's not forget the captaincy at such a young age, the problems Arsenal have had with captains over the years and not giving it to the right person. I'm not saying 100% Odegaard, has proved himself as a captain, but I've seen enough to know that it was a good decision. So for me, 9, Jordan.
No one gets a 9 for me, but like probably Ramsdale, he's the closest that's going to get to a 9. But a bit like Saliba, I'm hot. This is a tricky one. It's an 8 for me. 15 goals in his position is brilliant. 15 goals from where he plays is a really, really good return. I agree with the captaincy. He's the kind of captain that I like. He's not a shouter, a baller, a bellower. He's a lead by example. Give me the ball. I'm going to try and make this work. So for me, yeah, he probably is the closest person to a 9 for me, and probably my player of the year. Yeah, I'll give him a A+ again.
8+, couple 9s and an 8 there, Lee.
9 for me. I think he's been our player of the season. I think that he's answered a lot of questions that needed to be answered. I've always said he was a good player, but people said he needed to do more assists and more goals. He's done that. I think the one thing that he doesn't get the credit for is his work rate. I think he starts.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
He's the one that initiates it with his work rate. So if he's not having a great game, he still contributes with his work rate. I think that it should be it should be second nature, but it's not in football. You know what I mean? Like those sort of gifted players, sometimes they don't feel that they work. Comparisons with De Bruyne, that just shows you how good he's going to be. I think that at 24, I'm going to say it now, Odegaard's a better player than De Bruyne was at 24. So if he can go up a thing, I think that he will do. But I always think that if he doesn't play well, he puts a shift in work wise, and I think he's been our best player. A joy to watch. Blessed that we've got him.
3 9s and an 8. Strongest performer so far. Saka, right forward. That's me actually. Again, I think what we've just said about Odegaard, potential for player of the season, it goes to Saka as well. His drop off at the end, not ideal, coincided with us kind of, giving away the league title, or at least giving it away way too easily to Man City. But I don't put that all on him. I think when you look at the amount of games he plays, not just this season, but consistently since he's been in the side, I think it's understandable what's happened to him. But his output has been, great, to say the least. I think he ended with 14 goals and 11 assists. One behind in the league, one behind our top scorers, Martinelli and Odegaard. One of the only players, if not the only player, to have double-double, I'd call it. That's the term they use in the NBA. But in terms of goals and assists come the end of the season, I don't think someone else in the Premier League has got double-digit figures in goals and assists. So, it goes without saying, Saka, he is one of our star boys. And I know he is labelled the star boy, but we've got a few, to say the least. But for me, a new contract as well. And I think the contract is deserved. When you listen to the numbers and you hear it's 200k plus the bonuses, I can understand that a lot more than seeing 290k flat, because the pressure obviously goes up with a new contract too. And I think that's right. I think he was at a stage where, he's proven himself, and he still needs to prove himself moving forward, especially at a higher wage. But I think we're in a good place with Saka. I know there's concerns about the 4 years. Not too concerned about that, because if Arsenal win and keep on challenging, he'll want to sign. And that's what we as fans want Arsenal to be doing. So for me, I'm going to give him a 9 as well. Jordan.
It's an 8 from me. It would have been a 9 for not the drop-off in the last 6 weeks of the season. He was my player of the year until about 2 months ago, and I think Odegaard just pipped him. He's been brilliant, and I don't forget the early games of the season where he was scoring great goals, and his finishing has improved. The goal against Leeds, even the goal against Wolves on the weekend, that's a really good goal that he scored on the weekend. The goal against United, he scored some big penalties. I know he missed the big one against West Ham, but he scored some big goals, and I like how his finishing is getting better. I disagree with you, Turkish, in terms of his output being great. I don't think it is great. I think it's impressive. 15 goals is not great. And next season, I need 20. I need 20 goals next season. And I don't think that is a big ask from someone.
I mean, great in terms of the stage he's at.
Okay.
Because I know you'd want him to be getting maybe 20 goals and giving them numbers. But I always look at Martinelli as the 25-goal winger, and I look at Saka as the one that's going to have balance of goals and assists. But yeah, I get your point.
I need 20 goals next year from Saka. 20 goals, anything below 20 goals for me from him is not acceptable. And I'm putting a higher level on him because you have Cecil, who's leading the world-class fan base, and Saka. We won't go there again. But if you're going to chat about world-class wingers, 15 goals is not great. that's impressive. That's not great. Do you know what I mean? Salah's got more goals than that, and he's had a bad year. Salah's the bar. Mane's the bar. Vinicius is where Saka needs to be aiming to get to. And I think he can get there, but he's not there at the moment. So for me, again, another player I'm being really harsh on because I've got high expectations for him. But for me, it's an 8. But I like the trajectory of improvement year on year that he's going on.
9, 8.
Yeah, 9 for me. I think 21 years of age, unbelievable what he was like at the beginning of the season. I also think that when we get better players coming in, I think he'll get better and better because at this moment in time, every time he gets the ball, there's 2 players on him he has to deal with. Which
sometimes 3.
Yeah, sometimes 3. No other team has to deal with that. But you imagine if you've got class players in midfield and bombing through and everything, it'll create more goals for everybody else. I think at the end of the day, when we look back at this this season, the World Cup will be a downfall for us because we lost Jesus in that, and also, I think that the World Cup took its toll at the latter part of the season for Saka. 21 years of age, carried this football club for the last couple of years. A pleasure to watch. Yes, his form dropped off at the end because he was shattered. Didn't have that respite that he probably needed, but I just think he's a gifted footballer for me. 9 out of 10, and will get better.
I saw a stat, Lee, that said that he's the first player to play every single Premier League game 2 seasons in a row. He's the first player to play every single Premier League game.
Yeah,
two years in a row. Oh, was it for us or was it in the league?
For us in the Premier League era, I think that was.
Oh, I thought it was the Premier League overall. Okay,
maybe, but I'm pretty sure
that's still a fantastic thing for Arsenal as well because I tell you what, I was with some Australian guys this week, and big up to Paulie and all that lot, but they didn't realise how by watching him live how many times he gets kicked. They didn't realise it, what I mean? And we're used to seeing him he gets kicked, he gets up, he gets kicked, he gets up. In the first minute of that game, he got done, but he just, he doesn't shy away from that. I think that's the thing as well. Like, you get fullbacks that give wingers kicks and they shy out of games. He doesn't do that. But for me, I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah, James.
9 because his output's been unbelievable. The amount he takes players on. You're right, gets kicked and go left foot, right foot. Love him to bits. I guess I asked this question. I mean, without starting the world class debate, I think my question is, how many right wingers in world football have been better than him this season?
Hard to say.
Yeah. And I think that just shows you kind of the level he's operated on. 9 for me.
A few 9s and an 8. Another strong performer. Martinelli on the other side. Jordan, you're going to kick us off with Martinelli.
It's another 8. Another 8. Going to a 9, but it's an 8 for me. Again, another player that I'm really hard on. And I rate Martinelli. I do rate him. And a bit like what Lee said about Odegaard, even when he's not playing well, his work rate is always on point. I never have any question marks about Martinelli's work rate and his team play. But yeah, finished joint top goal scorer. Again, I need more goals next year. I still need a bit of improvement in terms of his on the ball dribbling, in terms of looking up and looking at the wider pitch. But yeah, he's been brilliant. It's an 8 for me.
8.
Yeah, 9 for me. I think that he's been outstanding this season. What I've really liked about him is there've been a couple of question marks put at him, he's just turned around and answered them. There's been a couple of times he's been left out. He's responded. I think his attitude is different class. I think that his work rate, I think that at times he has to do a little bit of work for the team, which takes away his contribution, i.e. when Zinchenko goes in there, he has to battle back and chase back. He does it. If he loses the ball, what I do like about him, if he ever loses the ball, he never gives up. He never shrugs his shoulders. He chases all the way back to wherever it is. If he loses it, if it means him going to the corner flag, he'd do it. And I think that's a tremendous attitude that he's got. Goal scorer when we've needed it. And even through the bad times at the end, I think he was the one player shining through and all that. For me, 9 out of 10.
9.
Yeah, 9, best player in the running. Level went up actually. I think as the pressure went up, I think he got better. Output unbelievable. Yeah, work rate. Probably more creative than he's given him credit for. He's got a really good cross. He's very good at picking players out with his crossing. Again, left foot, right foot, all that. Not much more needs to be. Not much more needs to be said. I love him to bits. I think he's got. It's funny, you know, you debate who has a higher ceiling, Odegaard, Saliba, Saka, Martinelli. I think whoever you pick, I think Martinelli's right there with them. So, yeah, 9 for me.
I need him to be the player, guys, next year that every single fullback in the country is just scared of. I need him to be the player next year that when he's on the ball, if opposition fans are thinking, oh, no, he's going to do us. Because he's got that real directness that I love.
Yeah.
And that was my one regret in the Liverpool game at Anfield. I just think he could have really roasted Trent Alexander-Arnold a bit more. I think he could have really gone at him a little bit more. And next year, I need him to be that player that every single fullback is like, oh, God.
I think he's on the way there as well.
I think he is too. I think
he's on the way there. I echo everything said by James, Lee, and yourself, Jordan. I can't really add anything onto it. He stood up the tallest at the back end of the season. When he got dropped, he bounced back. And I think in terms of ceiling for our attackers, I think he's got the highest ceiling. I think he's the one that can give us 25, 30 goal seasons in all competitions. I think he's headed into that direction. Like I said, with Saka, I feel like there's more of a balance of goals and assists and being a creative outlet as much as someone in the final third to finish it. But with Martinelli, I just see him as someone like Jordan said, fullbacks will be scared to come up against in years to come. So for me, 9, he's up there with Odegaard, Saka and Saliba as the players of the season. And we're going to wrap up the main starting 11 with Jesus. Lee.
Oh, difficult one. This is because he was absolutely outstanding for his injury and all that. I've got to go 7 out of 10 because of that injury, like out for 3 months. But before that, he was unbelievable until the World Cup. I thought he was fantastic, and I credit to him for the way he's come back as well. Like, you know, he's been not at the form that he did before the injury, if I'll be honest, but you know, to be out for all that long and contribute the way that he has done, it's been fantastic. But because of the injury, it has to be a 7. But what a signing for us, and what a player. But because of the injury, I can only give him a 7. But you know, I think he's been fantastic for us.
Yeah, 7. James.
Yeah, 8 because he's mesmerising to watch sometimes. Yeah, missed quite a big chunk of the season, not his fault, but you know, he still, that finishing does need a little bit of polishing. People forget before the World Cup because we missed him a bit after, and you know, we felt that a little bit. People forgot that I think he was on like a 10-match streak without a
5 goals he got, didn't he? That's all he had.
That's not really good enough. But I think he is so good to watch. Like, he really is just like old school, just has so much fun on the pitch. Yeah, what did I give him? An 8? Yeah, I'll stick with that.
I'm going 7. Missed a big chunk of the season. In front of goal, a lot of question marks, but I want to lean more towards how much of an impact he's had, similar to Zinchenko in terms of the system, and part of the reason why Martinelli and Saka have the amount of goals they have. I think when we saw Martinelli after the World Cup without Jesus, we saw a different Martinelli until Trossard came in, and I think that's testament to what Jesus does up top. Is he going to get you 20 league goals? No, but he's someone that can give a bit of both, similar to what I said about Saka. And if you do, you know, have a Jesus, I think we need to add competition there in terms of someone that, you know, on site, bang, back of the net, because that's not what Jesus is. But for what Jesus is, I'm going to say 7. Without the injury and at the trajectory he was going, it could have really been 8, 9 come the end of the season. But yeah, 7 for me.
Yeah, 7 for me too, Turkish. I'm glad that James flagged the fact that before his injury, he was on quite a bad run of lack of goals. It wasn't good. And he's better than the player I'm about to compare him to. He's better than him. But my concern is that we laud everything apart from goals. I've mentioned Lacazette before. Lacazette's work rate, his hold-up play, his all this stuff we killed him for it. So I don't think we mustn't get kind of lulled into as a fan base applauding Jesus so much for all the things that he's doing, but not putting up goals. A little bit like Gabriel, I would look for an upgrade on him. If we're being serious, we've got two weapons in Martinelli and Saka, left and right, and Odegaard behind. We need a guy up top that we're confident will be clinical. And as you said, Turkish, he's not a 20-goal season striker. I think there's a role for him to play, and I would keep him. And he's definitely, added to our team this year. But if we're going to win the Premier League next year, you don't do it for me with him up top as your main striker. I'm just being brutally honest. He's not the guy who's going to win you a Premier League title. And I would look for a striker who's an alternative to him that you can dip in and out alongside him. So
I just feel, sorry, not to extend that, I feel uncomfortable with statements like that. He's not the striker that's going to win you, because that would have been said about Firmino at one point. And he evolved and developed into the system, and James Milner the same. I think we could, but I hear your point. You want more output, but yeah, he's a really good player.
I think the difference is that I don't know Firmino's stats. His stats weren't unbelievable in terms of goals, but he was putting up 10 to 15 goals minimum, and also when you've got Mane and Salah putting up 30 goals each.
Fair point.
Do you know what I mean? There's a difference there. Martinelli and Saka aren't getting 30 goals each. So I take your point. I mean, I'm making a bit of a provocative statement there. I accept that, but I'm just being brutal because I want to win the title. And I'm looking forward and thinking, if I go through player by player, is this a guy that I think when it really matters is the guy that one-on-one I'm confident will win, will get that chance and take it. And if I'm being honest,
that's his downfall. That's the one criticism that he has. He's not prolific. Fantastic finish, by the way, on Sunday. But it surprised me that he scored that goal. You know what I mean? I felt like even at the beginning of the season, one-on-ones in America, he was going through and he was scoring them. And then when it mattered, he wasn't.
Well, there you go, Lee. That's my point. If that game against Wolves on the weekend was the game to win us a title, does he score that goal?
Yeah, exactly that. I don't know. There's the question mark.
There's a question mark there. So that's why I'm being deliberately. I'm trying to raise standards here. So, but I will say this: when I saw him live on game 4 or 5 this season, I didn't realize how technically good he is until you see him up close and you see him in live. He's a brilliant player. I just need some goals. Give me some goals. That's my point. But yeah, so it's a 7 for me.
A few 7s and an 8. That wraps up the main 11. Listen, lads, this is our longest show ever. So with the following names, I just want a number, no explanation. Tomiyasu, Jordan.
6.
3. Rob Holding, Jordan.
Came out with a 3. No explanation.
Holding 6.
5.
I'm being kind, I think.
3. Tierney.
6.
5.
Kivio.
5.
6.
4.
5.
5 is fine, yeah. Sorry, actually, I bump up to a 6 because he was better than Holding. So
5, yeah. 5 is basically average. Vieira.
4.
2.
Yeah, 4. Just a bit disappointing, but shown moments. I haven't given up on that player.
4.
Trossard.
4. Who's next up? Yeah, Trossard.
7.
7.
8.
7.
8 for me.
8's fair. I could go to an 8. Yeah.
Last, Eddie Nketiah.
8.
7.
6.
3.
Can't say that. I'm sorry, like that.
Come on, no, Turks, come on. I know.
Listen, I'll tell you what.
We're well over. Come on.
I've got to say this about Eddie. When you look back how good Jesus was, We didn't miss Jesus.
Oh, that is incredible.
I fucking did, Lee. I miss Jesus a hell of a lot.
No, I thought he'd come in and done a better job
Turkish.
what he gets credit for.
Those 2 games against Man United and was it West Ham?
Yeah.
Those at the time, those were 2 big games.
Yeah,
he delivered
2 games though. That's my problem. He signed a 100K contract, number 14 shirt, and we're naming 2 games at the end of the season.
But
Tottenham away. That's 3.
Come on, those are. He's not our number 1 striker. He's come in.
No, he done well. His job was to replace Jesus, and he done it. I'm sorry, you know what I mean, his job is to and he done it. He's back up. I feel he gets a lot of. We know he's not good enough to lead the line for Arsenal on a regular basis, but you need players that are going to come in and do the job when the backup as a backup. And as a backup striker, I think he done his job very, very well.
I agree.
He doesn't.
I'd sell him, but he did a good job.
He just does not suit the way we play. Let's be honest. Yeah,
Trossard
came in. Xhaka got better again. Martinelli got better again. We look more fluid. Yes, we are a better team with other options in that position than Eddie Nketiah. But he's done really well, I think, to try and adapt his game. And what you did get was the moments where you thought, that is what Eddie does. The header at the back post against United, great goal. And then to win us that game. We didn't see enough of that. I agree. I actually think for the spell he was in, we probably need a few more goals. But largely, the fact our level didn't drop too much, if at all. So, we went on a very good run in that time. I think big credit to him for that. But I hear it. If we move on, I'm not crying a river.
Yeah.
3.5. that wraps up all the names I've got on my list. People, watchers.
Hold on. We haven't mentioned Jorginho.
Oh yeah, Jorginho. Go on then. Let's add him in there as well.
That's 7 for me.
Yeah, 7 for me.
8. I think he's been borderline flawless. What's he done wrong?
You're right.
Yeah, I'm going to change mine to an 8. I'm with you on that, James.
Yeah, I'll go 8.
6.
God.
I wish he'd be as arse on himself when he's late, like he is when he's drunk.
Arteta.
Arteta. Arteta. Are we talking Premier League season here? Or are we talking season?
No, we've done that. I've done everything as the whole season.
Same.
That's why Vieira didn't get a 2. He got a 4 because actually in other comps he actually showed some quality.
Yeah. 8 for me. Then if you're going to go on all of that, 9 for the Premier League, 8 for the all round because we went out early in the cup competitions. But I'm going to say this now. I don't care what anybody says. He has won me round. You know what I mean? I wanted him out a couple of years ago. I didn't think he was good enough. He's won me round.
What about last week?
I'll take it as a compliment. The last 2 years, I think he's been superb for us. I'm not superb, but he's done really, really well for us. Failed towards the end, I'm going to be honest with you, but that's not, I don't think down to him. I think that's down because the players have been tired or injured. He's had a lot unlucky on injuries. I also got to say this. Some of the football we are playing now is a pleasure to watch. So for me,
8 for me because I actually don't put the capitulation. If I'm dividing percentage, I think it's more on the group of players than the manager.
Agreed.
You get us 2-0 up at Anfield, you get us 2-0 up at West Ham. He's not telling Ramsdale to give the ball away after 26 seconds. I think the players take a lot of responsibility. I actually think they also take it. I don't think they're shrugging off that responsibility. But Arteta likes to take responsibility too. But yeah, 8 for me.
8 for me. For me, the work starts now. Mentality change. His job now. I'll be judging him next season on how much he's improved the mentality over the summer to go again. That's the job here. It's going again. Can you get them up again with 5 games to go, be in the mix again? So yeah, 8 for me.
Yeah, 8 for me as well. I think when you look at where he is as a manager, I think that's why I'll give him an 8. He's still learning. If I'm judging Arsenal season, I'm going 7. But with Mikel Arteta, I'll give him an 8. Lee?
Yeah, just one other player we forgot, Nelson. Just come to me there. I do think he needs to be given a contribution for that Bournemouth game as well. So 7 for me.
Yeah, if I'm judging it on per minute played, he gets an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, yeah.
But obviously contribution to the whole season, yeah, probably a 7. But the fact that he's done so well with limited minutes that we're all actually really happy to keep him and want to keep him, and some fighting to keep him. I think that shows you how good he's been in the limited opportunities. And the Bournemouth moment is like a 12 in itself. That goal, oh my word. So 7.
7 for me.
7. 7's all round.
And we forgot another big Tim Lewis, Richard Darwin.
You're the one that needed to go by 9. It's now 9 minutes to 10. And you're still
my
here.
train left 4 minutes ago, Turkish. What am I fighting for here?
That's true.
I'm being deadly serious. My train left 4 minutes. It was the 9:47. So
Well, mine hasn't left yet, so let's hurry up.
You'll keep the next one. People, hit the like button. Let's get it up to 1,000. We're an hour 40 minutes in. Leave us your comments below. Your player ratings for the season below. Leave all of that. Obviously, comments of the day coming up as well. I say next is coming up now. I've got mine here ready, so I'm going to go first. Mine's from Brendan Thomas. And it says, guys, well done to you for an excellent season of shows. Different personalities, great chemistry. Everyone offers a worthwhile perspective, quality. Love that, Brendan.
Who's next?
I'll go next. I got 2.
That was
one
a lovely
here.
comment, by the way. Sorry, I should acknowledge that a bit more.
Yeah, that is a lovely comment.
All right, I got one here. It says Jordan with a Lee moment in the show. I'm sure Gundogan will be great with Shevchenko next season. And I wanted to ask you, Turkish, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong here. Do you pronounce his name? Is it pronounced Gundogan rather than Gundogan? Was I pronouncing it correct?
It's pronounced Gundogan.
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 Oh, okay, I thought it was pronounced Gundogan.
No,
I don't want him coming because I'll have a couple of beers and I'll have a nightmare saying that.
Lee will call him good lad for the season. The most you get.
The former City midfielder.
Yeah.
Good lad.
All right, I take it back. I was saying it wrong all last week, and a few of the comments were saying, "Why Jordan?" I thought it was pronounced Ilkay Gundogan.
It's better than the people that say Gundogan, and you hear people pronouncing hard G's in there and shit. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Listen, we've had Juninho, Vincenzo,
Victorious Junior.
We've had it all. We've had it all. Victorious is a personal favourite.
That is a killer. That is the one. Victorious Junior.
Listen, that's why I call Eddie. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I call Eddie. Next. Who's got their comment ready?
Can I go next? Because it's sort of on that theme. Balder with the comment says, I love this is like beautifully subtle in how insulting it is. Balder says, big up Lee, articulating, brackets, for once, how I felt the last few weeks. Best content from AFTV. Thank you for bringing the show onto YouTube. Articulating for once. That is so rude. Thank you, Balder. Appreciate it.
Oh, man. Victorious.
Well, I've got 2. I've gone for Perth Aussie. Love the show, guys, but Lee is gold and brings laughter to the show from start to finish. You know,
I agree.
And my other one is, I think I had to bring this one up, like, you know what I mean? It says, like, hey, have you seen the tactical insight? Is my favourite pickup line there, like, you know. I'm not going to take the next comment after it, but, like, you know, absolutely.
Man, listen, thank you to everyone for this season. I know you're thanking us, but thank you too, because the engagement's been so high. Comments of the day has become an enjoyable feature for us as well. So make sure you're always leaving the comments. We're still going to be here once a week, every week, doing the transfer stuff. And Jordan wants to interrupt the last
one of the season. I just got to big up Leo. I bumped into a fan of the show at Victoria train station. He stopped me walking through, said he loves the show, loves you guys, loves me more, obviously. But he said, keep up the good work. Big fan of the show. Big up Leo. Shout out Leo.
You said Victoria train station. I thought of Vinicius.
Victorious.
It's all cute.
And you know
that
what?
was an early morning show, and I'll tell you what, I'm getting stick for that one. Like, I think that was our earliest one. You know?
He said this because it was an early show. What an excuse.
Chinchenko was another killer as well.
To be honest, lads, I don't want to do this, but I just remembered that earlier on, for our kind supporters on audio platforms, I didn't read out the league table, so I'm gonna have to put it back up here. I'm gonna have to read it out for the listeners. So, for the final time this season, 49 games have been played, 49 predictions made. In fourth place, James on 34 points. In third place, Lee on 34 points, just pipping James by correct scores. Jordan's in second on 37 points.
To be reviewed. This is to be reviewed.
And I finished first after having 6 points stripped off me this season. 6 points, 4 points on the final day. I've still come through the mud. I've still made it out. The haters tried to stop me, but they couldn't.
The haters, Lee, the haters. You're hearing this? The haters.
It's outrageous, isn't it? Like, it's not nothing to do with haters. It's just doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day.
Any more from you, Lee? And I'm taking that star away, mate.
Well, no, you can't take that star. I won that fair and square. Look, I've got shirts to prove it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. But,
there you go, James. You have it for a little bit, mate. You have it
Mine. Wait, hold on. It's mine. Hello. My star.
Hello.
I'll tell you what, though, before even the judge and jury come out, he'd put his 2 stars up and he's, made it out, everything like, but even with a 4-point deduction, we couldn't stop him like that. And I think did you have another point taken off him? You know what I mean? You've had a few points taken. You've actually won it by a country mile this time around, so good luck to you.
Thank you, Lee.
That's what brown envelopes do. You know what I mean? Big brown envelopes. They bring in trophies.
And just another reminder, Sharoi will be on my channel. No, I'm joking. Big up.
Sharoi, I'll tell you. Wait till I see Sharoi. Like, you know what I mean? Funny, I went in the studio the other week, like, and I went in, like, and the door was locked, and I thought, what's going on here, like? About 5 minutes later, like, you know what I mean, come out, there was Turkish and Sharoi in there. I don't know what's going on, but, like, you know what I mean? Whether I was having a meeting or something about what was going on, I don't know. Like,
was there a briefcase there, Lee?
I think there was a briefcase there, like, okay. Plenty of money hanging around, so... he can be got at old Sharoi. I'm just saying.
What was it? Was it this day, Lee?
I think it was that day. That's what we had a meeting.
Oh, was it that day? Okay.
It was that meeting. We did turn up, like, and he gave it all the
Lee,
you've changed.
You've changed that.
He's there pointing at him like this is my guy.
My attorney.
I didn't get the point. I didn't get the point back, but also, I couldn't offer him Turkish Airlines. You know what I mean? Like.
On that note, people, we're going to wrap it up. Big up James, big up Lee, big up Jordan, and big up every single one of you that tune in, week out. Hit the like button, leave your comments, and we'll be back again next week. Love for the love, people. We're out. Peace.